My name is David Kessler. I'm 29 years old, and until recently, I was a night shift nurse in a small town in upstate New York. My life used to be normal, mundane even, but grief has a strange way of reshaping your world. Last year, I lost my mom to cancer. She was all I had. No siblings, no father, just the two of us. Watching her slowly fade away in a hospital bed I used to work in, that broke me in a way I didn't know was possible. After the funeral, I left everything behind. I quit my job, packed up what little I owned, and rented a one-bedroom apartment in a quiet, rundown complex on the edge of town. Apartment 3D. I chose the place for one reason. It was cheap, and no one asked questions. There were only 8 units in the whole building, mostly older folks who kept to themselves. Except for one man. He lived in apartment 3B. I didn't know his name at first, just that he was old, maybe in his 80s, and incredibly quiet. I only ever saw him late at night, sitting on a wooden chair just outside his door, staring down the hall like he was waiting for something, or someone. The first time I passed him, I nodded and said, "Good evening." He didn't respond. He just blinked slowly, and I swear his eyes followed me even after I turned the corner. 3 weeks after I moved in, I found a note under my door. No envelope, no handwriting on the outside, just a single sentence typed in faded ink. If you hear knocking from 3B after midnight, don't open your door. No matter what he says. I laughed at first, thought it was a joke from some weirdo in the building. But something about that note got under my skin. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, heart still heavy from everything I'd left behind. And then, at exactly 12:43 a.m., there was a knock, not at my door, at 3B. 3 slow, deliberate knocks, then a pause, then a voice, a frail, rasping whisper. "Please, let me out. I don't belong here." I sat up. Every hair on my body stood up. The voice continued, begging, crying, whispering things I couldn't quite make out. Then, silence. I waited, watched, but no one opened their door. When morning came, I gathered the courage to check on 3B. I knocked once, gently. Nothing. I knocked again, a little louder. No sound, no movement. I pressed my ear to the door. Inside, it was like the apartment was sucking sound out of the air. Just cold, still silence. Later that day, I asked the building's maintenance guy about 3B. He went pale and shook his head. "That place has been empty for 4 years," he said. "I told him I'd seen an old man living there. He didn't believe me." I stopped sleeping. Every night around the same time, the knocking returned. Sometimes it was begging. Other times it was angry, screaming, whispering my name. One night I recorded it with my phone, but when I played the file back in the morning, there was nothing, just static. I became obsessed. I even stayed up watching the door, trying to catch it open. Nothing. Just that same God-forsaken knocking. Then one night, I made a mistake. I opened my door. The hallway was empty, but 3B's door, it was ajar. Against every instinct I had, I stepped inside. The air was cold, not just AC cold, death cold. The apartment was fully furnished, with dust-covered furniture from decades ago, like no one had touched it in years. On the kitchen table, there were dozens of old newspaper clippings, obituaries, every one of them circled in red ink. Names of people from this building. One caught my eye. David Kessler, 29, found dead in his apartment, suspected overdose, grieving son of the late Margaret Kessler. That's my name. I staggered back, heart racing. I ran out, slammed the door, locked mine, and sat in the dark for hours. The next day, I checked with the local newspaper archives at the library. That obituary hadn't been published. Yet, I didn't understand what was happening. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then a knock. This time it was my door. I opened it, slowly. It was the old man from 3B. But something had changed. His eyes were milky white, his skin pale and sunken. He looked at me with such sadness. "You're not supposed to be here," he said softly. "You were supposed to leave when your mother died. You stayed too long in grief. This place, it feeds on that." I couldn't speak, couldn't move. He reached into his coat and handed me the same note I'd received weeks ago, the same warning. It got me too. I ignored the signs. I stayed too long in my sorrow. Now I'm part of it. Don't make my mistake. Then he vanished. No sound, no footsteps, just gone. That morning I packed everything and left. Didn't wait for the lease to end. Didn't care about the deposit. I never looked back. 2 weeks later, I found a job in a different town. I started therapy, tried to heal, but every once in a while, at night, I still hear knocking, and sometimes it whispers my name, and I wonder, did I really escape? Or is 3B just waiting for me to grieve again?